Well, sometimes when you're awake at 3 a.m., it's time to embrace it. So, welcome. This is three effective changes to make to your manifestation practice to actually receive what you want. So, I'm Shannon of Ecstatic Manifestation, and I love sharing the ecstatic manifestation work. I love seeing how it has created amazing transformation in people's lives. And it creates transformation in my life, still ongoing. I'm still using it and getting more from it every time. And I feel like for the last year or two, I have been in this ongoing level up process, and it is through using some of these exact tools that I'm about to share with you. So, welcome. All right. I have three and a bonus, and you definitely want to stick around for the bonus one. You definitely want to stick around for the bonus one. So, number one, it is your nervous system more than your imagination that is anticipating the future that you are connecting to. And this is for sure in the more classic manifestation practices, more the original manifestation practices. Keep visualizing, keep visualizing, keep visualizing. And I have recently seen another group where people were trying to manifest a partner, and the person holding the group was like, just keep picturing yourself with them. And visualizing can work, but your nervous system has to be on board as well. So if you keep picturing this beautiful scene unfolding, but your nervous system is jammed up, clamped up, not able to hold anything new, then it's not going to unfold very easily. So you could affect your nervous system by visualizing. For some people, that works. For me, that works a lot of times. But there are other more potent ways that you can affect your nervous system before you even start your manifestation process. Breath, movement, and ecstatic manifestation. We do a lot of things directly for the vagus nerve and the diaphragm and breath and just teaching your system, teaching your body to be able to sit back and be in ease. And when you're able to drop into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is just rest and digest, super simple, and it takes 90 seconds to 3 minutes at a time to do, easy. When your body is able to come into parasympathetic, then that opens up your energy body, and that opens up your potential body, and that opens up your ability to not only imagine what you want, because I mean, it's easy to imagine all day long, right? Especially if you're in stress, like, oh my gosh, I wish it were like this. But to actually connect with it and call it to you, that energy body needs to be open. That potential body needs to be open because otherwise there's no room. So that's number one. Number two, as I read my notes, clearing up your competing frequencies. So it is maybe always the case, I would say, that if you're calling something in and it's not coming to you for an extended amount of time, that's because there's enough of you that doesn't want that thing for some reason. For example, I notice I'm really lonely and I really want a relationship and I really want to go to sleep with somebody at night and I want them to hold me and feel safe. But I also know the last few times that I've dated or been in relationships, it has felt very fraught. It has not felt safe and emotionally speaking. And it is too much trouble. It's more trouble than it's worth. So if I'm holding both of those frequencies simultaneously, and energy is going to follow the path of least resistance. So if the least resistance right now is for me to just not even bother, that's where it's going to stay. I really want a raise. Like I have been working at $100,000 a year. I almost said a month. Maybe that's true too. I've been working at $100,000 a year, and I realized that living expenses have gone up. I have more skill in my job than I used to have. Um, all these things, and I want my income to go up by 50%. I want $150,000 a year or a month, whatever. I think those jobs don't exist. I think if I find them, they're going to ask more of me than I want to do. They're going to try to put me in a management position, and I don't want to manage. I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but at a higher level. But I feel like those positions are only available for people who want to take on more responsibility. So I'm putting my fear of them asking me to do things I don't want to do, along with my desire to make more money. And I'm creating like this limitation and this push-pull. Somebody I knew, this was many years ago, they were kind of beating themselves up for not working out, not eating right, but they had had a loss in the family, a very close loss in the family within the last year, and their eating, drinking, TV watching, sedentary time was giving them the feeling of nurturing that they needed. It was giving them the ability to kind of check out and disconnect. Like they really were having a rough time. And that gave them, I mean, I think of it in terms of like oxytocin and serotonin. Like it's actually triggering chemicals in the brain that in times of grief, like we're going to seek that out. That's very natural to seek that out. So when there's a competing frequency, so what do, right? You want to like really get down into why do you want this new thing? And you also want to um, notice what benefits you're getting from your competing behavior or your competing fear frequency. So in the last example that I gave, I mean, I talked about the benefits. Like I'm getting an oxytocin and serotonin hit every time that I'm eating and drinking and watching TV and just chilling with my friends or whatever, like this combination of things that are maybe leading to a heavier body or not feeling as well or not, not the type of health that you want. But what can I do to give myself those benefits because I need them? So that's how you clear up the competing frequency. Like find out why you're doing it or why you don't want it, why you do want it, and give yourself what you need. You need to find a way to give yourself what you need so that all of the parts of you can be fed together. So number three, my dog is very confused why we're awake. Okay, this one's going to be brief. And a lot of manifestation practices do talk about this, but I want to be very specific about it. So action. Action is number three. And this is for sure a mixed metaphor, but I had this imagery yesterday of not even so many of us, but for so many things in our lives, we will push them in front of us like we're pushing a cart. So, like, our vision stays in front of us. Like maybe it's a year, maybe it's 6 months, like, oh, I'm gonna get to it in 5 years, oh, I'm gonna get to it after this. Like it's an always an after. And then instead, there is just stepping into the picture. And so that's what the action should actually be like. Like I'm stepping into the picture. And this, again, this is one a lot of manifestation groups talk about. But what would people talk about? What would that picture feel like, be like? Who would you be as that person? Da 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 da. And sure. But I think sometimes it's hard to know until you're there. And I would say, what is the experience you're trying to have? And how can you create that experience now? And it can be silly, seriously. So, another example, I'll just use the body example. If the experience that a person is trying to have, if they're trying to lose weight or they're trying to whatever, um, especially if you're putting something in the terms of like losing it, what are you trying to gain? Are you wanting to feel attractive? Are you wanting to feel sexy? Are you wanting to fit in some clothes that you love? Are you wanting to buy clothes that you love? Those kinds of things. So those things you can access right now. You can do something right now that feels sexy. You can do something right now where you are wrapping yourself in comfort. You could go purchase right now one article of clothing that really looks good on you. Maybe it'll, if you're feeling some kind of way, it might take a little time, but that's okay. This is like an example of a silly one, also in that category is like if you want to feel strong and sexy, like you don't even have to get yourself all the way to the gym, especially if that's been the struggle. So the action isn't necessarily to try to do the thing that you keep fighting yourself um about, because that's where, I mean, you can do that, but that's where you have a challenge, and I would say there's more to unpack there. But you could just put on a song and do something that feels sexy and like pick up a gallon of water or a 5 gallon jug of water. And, that can make you feel strong. Like, ooh, look at me holding this gallon of water. So something like the more immediate you can make the action. And sometimes even the smaller, but like more in line with that energy, the better. So if it's small and it really amplifies the energy that you're trying to call in, the experience that you're trying to call in underneath the manifestation itself, it's going to be really potent and your nervous system will be able to hold it. So that's our action. So those are three. And here's the bonus one. Ready? So let me just back up and say, if what is manifestation? Manifestation is the creation of things or drawing things from spirit down into reality. And that can be done in many different ways. And I would say people who are drawn to manifestation work are not the hustlers. I am not a hustler. I like a lot of time. I have a lot of space in my life. I get to be real choosy about what I do with my time and my space. I love to move powerfully in the direction of the things that really light me up, for sure. And I also like want to just become a magnet for the things that I'm trying to draw in. So that way it's work, but not effort. Becoming magnetic, that's a lot of what we're talking about in manifestation work. But there's this thing that happens sometimes where a person is trying to be a point of attraction for something, trying to be a point of attraction for something, wanting to be a point of attraction for something, maybe doing all the visualizing, maybe doing all the, whatever practice they're engaged in. And the thing isn't coming through, but they have given their power away to the external. So confusing the energy of being attractive or magnetic with being at the whim of everything outside of you. So it's disempowerment in disguise. There is an unfolding of the universe, and like the earth plane takes time. What you will notice when you are in a manifestation experience is when you begin to move toward, and check out step 3, when you begin to move toward what you've been wanting to call in, then the next doors open, more things unfold. And when you're not moving toward that and you're just sitting back and waiting, then it feels like, well, where's the thing? Where's the thing? Where's the thing? How am I not like how is this not coming to me? I'll say we, because this is one of the archetypes we all have, but then we go into victim. We go into victim mode. And some of us got that real high. And I'm circling myself in that too. I can do a really good victim. And it is a huge blind spot sometimes. It can be a huge blind spot because it feels like, I already said this, but it feels like you're at the whim of outside forces. And all like there's a lot of nuance in this and a lot of subtlety in this. Like there's there can be a space between like doing the manifestation work and the arrival of the thing. But when it's coming, it still feels juicy and you feel like there are parts of it coming forward. And the process gets to be like gets exciting. And there's like a lot of energy and electricity in it. And you're like, ooh, this is this is new. This is interesting. And when you're not feeling that, you're probably missing one of the previous three steps, most likely. So, nervous system, intentional action, and competing frequencies. But then you give your power away to external forces. The universe isn't da 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 da. Where is my money? Why is nobody, wanting to hire me? Where is my relationship? Why am I not finding anybody I want to date? Why am I only finding people who are blankety blank blank? Um, so if you notice yourself pointing your finger at something outside of you as the problem, this is probably what you're in. This is probably what you're in. This person did this to me. This person is like this. I can't believe blah, 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 blah. Why is there nobody dateable in my whole city of, 6 million people? Um, why is nobody hiring me? How is da 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 da? I had this very recent example where I needed a new car. I needed a new car and I didn't have the money for it. And I had this moment where I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do whatever it takes. Like I just need a new car and I'm going to support it." And I went and got the car. And then the money to support it came in. So that's like how it works. Like you clear up your frequency, conviction, make the move, manifestation. So let me just finish reading this prompt because it's not done. Bonus prompt. Confusing the energy of being attractive or magnetic with being at the whim of everything outside of you. Disempowerment in disguise. Yes, manifestation is about receiving more than hustling or taking action that feels opening, enlightening, energizing, right? When you feel like you're just waiting desperately for something to unfold or come to you, you've given your power away. If you notice yourself repeating stories over and over again, you've probably given your power away to something outside of you. It's a secret signal. You're actually probably in number two. So you have competing frequencies. Your victim state is on high and what to do. So here's what you get to do about it. Here's what you get to do about it. So simple. Get even clearer. Is what you're asking for truly what you want? That's a good question. Do you actually want to be in a relationship right now? And maybe a relationship doesn't have to look the way it's looked for you before or the way it looks for other people. There's somebody I know who, in the last year in my Live in Your Vision class, she started to play with what relationship looked like for her in her life. And she has been in some of the most atypical type of relationships and has been highly satisfied, highly satisfied. And I also love that each one has shown her and given her the opportunity for evolution. Like okay, this is what I want right now. And then she would be in that thing for a while. And then she'd be like, okay, this isn't a good fit anymore. And then she would find the next right fit and the next right fit. And she did not leave a trail of broken hearts. She left a trail of amazing, collaborative relationships that just worked until they didn't. And she gets to, find what really matters to her and what she uniquely wants. And that is my favorite thing. Not that somebody finds what somebody else told them they should have or what somebody else has or whatever, but like that you find what you want. So, do you want this thing? Do you want the full version of the thing? Do you only want parts of it? If you only want parts of it, what parts do you want? So I gave the example of another relationship example, but like, I want a relationship because I want somebody to cuddle me at night. Maybe I just want somebody to cuddle me at night. I could find that. I could hire a cuddlist, or I could go on to some kind of cuddling kink website and be like, I'm just looking for cuddles. Like there are ways to create that if that's all I want. If I don't want cuddles and I want to sleep by myself at night, then I could just go on first dates where I'm very clear that they're going to pay. Like, let me eat dinner for free for the next month. Like there are so many different ways that you could pick and choose what you want. And then once you get it, so that because that's the action part, right? And then once you get it, you can see if that's really what you want or if it gets to evolve. So, more. Do you have old associations of how other people have received that thing and that makes it repulsive to you? So I have a personal example of this one. I reject, I still do. Um, like I'll say routine. I'll say routine. And I don't necessarily want to, but I do. And what I would call stability, maybe. And I grew up with parents who are the most routine people, they still are, that I've ever known. And they like, oh, it's Friday, it's laundry day. I'm like, what? Like, I barely know what day it is. Like, I don't, having like a day of the week that's the same every week, I'm like, it blows my mind. And then their daily routine is basically the same every day, with just a few adjustments like today is laundry day, today is grocery shopping day, today is da 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 da. So I grew up with that kind of mindset. But to me, this is not actually true for them. But to me, my parents did not have joy. That was my growing up impression, is they did not have joy. And reaching for things outside of them was too frightening. They actually still do that when I tell them I'm gonna like do this or that thing. They're like, their first response is something fearful. So I have deep associations of routine, stability, and steadiness correlated with a lack of joy. So that impacts me because I don't thrive in routine, but having some of it is actually very beneficial to me. I just know that from my life. When I have times where there's like something that's routine, but it provides me enough freedom that I can also play and whatever. Um, that is actually useful and helpful for me. And there's a level of thriving I experience in that, but I reject it because of that association. So that's one of the things you can get clear on. Like this thing that you're asking for, do you have something in you that where you've seen an example of it play out and you're like, actually, that kind of seemed like it sucked, I don't want that. And probably if it's something like that, it's going to be maybe from childhood or something like that. So that's just another thing to examine. Just repeat from the top in case you're taking notes. So get even clearer. Do you truly want what you say you want? Do you want the whole thing or just parts of it? And if so, what parts? Do you have any associations of how other people have received that thing and made it repulsive to you, even subconsciously? Is there a way you can have it that feels really good to you through and through? So now we're going to connect back to that number one. So when I think about routine, I feel like, I mean, I'm doing this, but that's not accurate. I feel like a low, like stranglehold on my, like maybe in my throat a little bit. I'm like, oh, so that's my nervous system association with routine. So if I'm looking for routine, maybe that's not great. If that's my sensation in my body and how my nervous system responds to it. So is there another way? What if what if I hired somebody to come and clean my bathroom every 2 weeks? Once every 2 weeks. Like how does that feel? Oh, that feels really nice. Like I feel like I can breathe. So like what's another that would be routine, but it would be just somebody helping me, giving me something. And I don't like to clean the bathroom. I don't. So, what is a version of that thing? Like, if you truly want it and you've identified the parts of it, what is a version of that you could have that like helps your system settle? Helps your system settle. And that can evolve. So I was talking about my friend with the relationships over the last year, like her thing evolved. She found the thing that met her right now, and then it changed. And then it changed. But she was building her capacity as she went along. She was not ready for a full-on relationship again. And she might be now, I don't know. But she needed small parts of it to build her capacity up. And now her um, capacity for intimacy has expanded significantly. And so this can be with anything. Like again, if I'm not ready for full routine, I hire that housekeeper and I'm like, "Oh, this is really nice to have this thing cleaned once every 2 weeks. That's fantastic. What if I ordered somebody to come bring me water, like gallons of water? That would be really cool." And then and I'm noticing that my routine is more about receiving than doing, So play with it. Play with it. And then that was the last question, but just to restate, you want your nervous system to find ease in relation to even imagining your manifestation or ease in imagining the next step. And I kind of said it, but I just want to say it again in this way. Um, when we do, okay, there's like this, there's this stretch of the nervous system that we want to do. So when we find the right action for the thing we want to call in, we clarify we want to call in, we find the right action, we want to do something that moves us in that direction, and we want to do something that stretches us from where we are. So I'm going to use the body example again. So maybe that is putting on a song and dancing around sexy in our own home. Like maybe that's a stretch for you. So we're just like assuming it is, we're going to use that as an example. So you're doing that. That's getting you in that aligned energy. It's also actually affecting your nervous system. And that's like one of the versions of what you want to manifest that feels really good and solid. So you do that, and then that kind of becomes normal. And maybe that happens within a few days. Like it doesn't have to take a long time. And then you're like, okay, I'm ready for the next stage of sexiness. So I'm not just gonna dance around, but I'm also gonna like put lotion on my legs really slowly and really caress my feet and just do something that feels viscerally really comfortable and pleasurable and all of that. So then you add that into your routine. And now it's changed. And you're like, oh, maybe I'm ready to go dance out in public. So each of these things is stretching you incrementally into like the bigger picture that you're imagining. It does not take long for your nervous system to adjust to the new thing. So if you do it, then your nervous system's like, oh, I can hold this. And then you're like, okay, cool. So, and, like, when you get to that moment, like, let me do the next thing and the next thing and then the next thing. So, this is like the paradox. So, these small shifts create the quantum results. And you can call something in like, boom, like we'll use the example of people winning the lottery. Boom, that's big, right? But what do? They don't know how to hold it. So all of a sudden their money's just everywhere, spend, 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 and then they're in deeper debt after a year and a half or 2 years than they were before they won the lottery. So that's an example of somebody not being able to hold it. So doing these incremental changes allows your nervous system to hold more and more and more of the energy that you're calling in. And then those results come in at quantum speed. And Live in Your Vision last year, it was a 9-month program, but most of our people saw their visions coming to life in 2 months. It was real quick, 2 months. So just imagine in 2 months from now, you could be living in the vision that you've been holding off from you, pushing that cart in front of you for, however long. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed my 3 a.m. version of myself and my dog's little cameo, and I'll see you soon.